I'm going to share with you 10 YouTube garden channels that you need to start following today. Just do something. Throughout my time as a gardener, I have been really inspired by other gardeners, and I have found YouTube to be a really valuable source. It's almost like a portal to other gardens all over the world. One of you actually commented on one of my videos and said, "I wish we could watch one another's gardens grow." The really cool thing about YouTube is that we can. There was a YouTube gardener who posted a list of YouTube channels that you should be watching, and I thought that was so cool because it opens up a world for new gardeners to find new channels. But I thought there was something missing from that list. Gardeners who look like me, gardeners of color. There are so many of us on YouTube. And because of the powers that be, the systems in place, the algorithms, a lot of us don't actually get to see them. Now, I've cut this Dusty Miller down to the new growth, and it looks kind of pitiful, but I'm going to think positive thoughts and pray on it, and we'll see if she sprouts new growth. But if not, Dusty Miller is a very inexpensive plant. It adds necessary texture and color and foliage interest all throughout the year. So it's definitely one I'm consistently adding to the garden from plugs. This garden is long overdue for a little bit of a cutback because we're starting to see some brand new growth pop up, and it's just easier to appreciate when the garden isn't full of last year's overgrowth and dead foliage. But why this list? And why Black YouTube gardeners? It's simple. I wanted to give my people their flowers. We should not hesitate to give people their flowers when they deserve them, and we certainly should not be giving flowers only to a certain group of people. In no particular order, first, Creative Gardenista. Creative Gardenista is a YouTube channel hosted by Jess, a gardener from North Carolina. She gardens in a suburban garden with a formal front yard and a dainty backyard with lots of florals. I appreciate her sort of exactness in the garden. My garden is not like this one. Hers is not a cottage garden. There are very precise plantings, groups, and what do you call those when they're drifts of florals, and it's a seasonal garden. I've noticed that Jess does make an effort to plant throughout the year to maintain the floriferousness of her garden. She does a lot of DIY projects, including a lot of stonework, garden edging, and lately her channel has been focusing a little bit more on her crafts and her craft business, but she has a huge archive of garden tours spanning from January all the way through to December to really give you guys an idea of what you could be planting in your own garden if you're like me on the southeast side of the US. Garden channel number 2 on my list is Red Soil Gardener. Red Soil Gardener is hosted by Alice in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm so glad I landed on this channel. It is a unique context, very different from my own. I know, I'm outside, there's noise. Alice grows a lush tropical garden on red clay. Alice specializes in propagation, and she does a lot of great tutorials on propagating all kinds of plants, specific propagation methods for specific plants. But she also does give a lot of very detailed plant information videos where she describes the full life cycle of a plant and all of the planting and care tips that you need, with ideas about how to propagate those plants and potential pests you might have to deal with. She also has a website where she is offering landscape design and consultation. So if you're interested, I think that you should check that out, especially if you're in the area. Number 3 on my list is Garden Addicts. This channel is hosted by Moya in Baltimore City, Maryland, where she gardens in a large urban garden. Now, her channel's pretty big, and she is known for her love of hydrangeas and clearance plants. I discovered her when her channel was a bit more active back in 2020, and she has recently taken a break from posting to YouTube for personal reasons that I'm not aware of, but that she has shared in some of her social media platforms. But her archives are definitely worth taking a look at for inspiration. She and her husband have built a beautiful garden, including a classic fountain, a small greenhouse, and a fenced-in area for her vegetable garden. Now, number 4 on my list is pretty special. Number 4 is a beautiful nest. Now, when I say unique, this channel really exemplifies the invaluable creativity that just comes from people from different backgrounds. Now, Sandra is a business owner who makes natural soaps and candles, and when I discovered her channel, she was filming videos of garden tasks like seeding and planting, with tutorials and tours of a huge garden. But her channel has recently shifted to ASMR period pieces that portray domestic tasks like gardening and cooking, but with beauty and grace. Definitely an escapist channel, and like, why else are us gardeners here on YouTube, right? The next channel on my list is Jay's Garden Journal. Jay is growing a cottage garden in Zone 8, North Carolina, and her garden has actually had a huge influence on my own. I first discovered her channel when she was planting a hell strip full of zinnias, and it was so beautiful. So what did I do? I planted my own. Most of the hell strips that I've seen either in person or on social media platforms have been full of foliage plants and trees. So the idea of planting a hell strip full of flowers was a completely novel one to me. And it is such a contagious idea. One of my neighbors a few streets down actually did the same exact thing. There are 2 hell strips full of zinnias in my neighborhood. So Jay, if you're watching, that is all you. She is also known for her sheet mulching. She uses sheet mulching to make weeding and building new gardens super easy. I've actually seen her put cardboard and newspaper down on fully grown weeds and just plant right into that space and then cover it with mulch as if they were never there. Boom, a garden is planted and weeded in no time. The sun really bleaches out the imperfections. Next on my list is Gardening Queen, a channel hosted by Natea in St. Louis, Zone 6B. Natea grows in a more suburban garden, beautiful, formal. She does a lot of container gardening, and she recently began filming in like a potting sunroom that she built with shelves full to the ceiling of beautiful terracotta pots. She demonstrates several container combinations with personality and a lot of humor. If you've seen Natea before, you know what I'm talking about. It's like hanging out with Auntie and gardening together. Number 6, 7, 8 on my list, I don't know, is My Therapy Garden. I know there aren't enough men in the space, but there are a few on this list. He films garden tours, pruning tutorials, and other gardening tasks. He tours his garden with his children, and you can tell just how much he and his family really enjoy being in that space and find joy in it. The title says it all. This gardener is using his garden as a form of therapy and to support mental wellness. and it shows. He also has an Instagram, and if you like what he posts, you can buy him a coffee. Next on my list is Rick's Garden Diary. Jay's Garden Journal, Rick's Garden Diary. I know, it's so cute. Rick likes to stay off camera, but that's okay because his videos let you focus on the beauty of his garden. Rick says he's a novice gardener. I disagree. Gardening in Maryland, Zone 7. His garden is rather suburban with large swooping borders along the edges of his large lawn. His tone is very calming and his videos are very easy to watch. Next up is Garden Marcus. Do you guys know Garden Marcus? If you're on TikTok, you probably do. I first discovered him on Instagram, but I think his main platform is TikTok for now. I never got one of those, and I guess now I never will. But if you do, definitely check him out while you still can. He posts inspirational shorts, drawing connections between what the garden can teach us and life. It's very zen. Next up is Cloud Gardener. The Cloud Gardener gardens from the 18th floor of a tower apartment in the UK. His balcony garden is very inspirational for people and practical for people who are growing in similar situations. He's deservedly gained a lot of attention from some of the big names in the gardening community in the UK. The coolest thing I've learned about this gardener is that he has been granted a fellowship to travel the world studying balcony gardens in Europe and in Asia, and to bring all that information about ways that we can be more eco-friendly in our own gardens here in the US. Ways that we can be more eco-friendly here in the West. He is recording video as part of his fellowship, and he is sharing all of that with us as he goes. This is truly a valuable resource, so definitely check it out. Up next on my list is Gardening on Purpose. Gardening on Purpose is one of my favorite channels because this channel is hosted by Ara in Zone 78A, Georgia. So like me, I only recently discovered Ara. I enjoy her garden because it isn't the traditional garden. She has built almost a mini botanical garden in her suburban landscape. And of course, I'm thrilled when I see gardeners in my own area. Now, I want to be very transparent and let you know that not a single gardener on this list has in any way encouraged me to put them on this list or make this list. In fact, most of these gardeners probably don't know that I'm doing this. I do it because I'm thankful. I'm grateful for the content that you're sharing and how it has inspired me. Although the video footage that I've taken from some of these garden channels comes from garden channels who have given me express permission to do so. Real quick, I'm just gonna kind of speed through a list of other garden channels that you should check out, including a couple that I really wanted to highlight. So there's Becoming a Farm Girl, this is more of a gardening, vertical gardening, homesteading channel, but interesting thing about this channel is that the host does not live on a homestead. She lives in a townhome and she's preparing to be a homesteader, but she's learning things before that shift in her life, and she's canning, even butchering her own meat. It's way more than I'm willing to try, but it's cool to watch. DIY by Carolina, Outdoor Living by Daphne, Gardenscapes by Kay, Finding Joy in the Garden. I mean, isn't that what we all want? And Growing Out the Box. Now, Growing Out the Box is not an ornamental gardener. Now, while I really wanted to focus on ornamental gardening, I really thought I should highlight this one because his garden is so aesthetically pleasing. It fits a third category, which I'm calling ornamental vegetable garden. You have to take a look for yourself, but there are so many ideas that you could apply to any kind of garden, floral, vegetable, it's up to you. Now, I wanted to give these gardeners their flowers because I have seen gardeners promoted on this platform, and the majority of them have been of a certain type. But I get it. You know, I'm constantly battling the algorithm's tendency to show me a certain type of gardener with a certain type of aesthetic. But I have been so lucky to have at my fingertips a diverse array of styles, aesthetics, gardening techniques, and skills, as well as beautiful gardens. And I hope that this helps you too. Check out these gardeners and then subscribe, and then come back here and comment and let me know which of these channels did you really enjoy? Which of them are you glad to have discovered? I want to thank you guys for taking the time, and I hope you found some useful information from this video. Until the next time, bye. This Dusty Miller. I am playing.